Welcome back, everybody. It's a brand new season of Cut Deep, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm your guest host, Sarah Penny, and this week we have part 2 of the opportunity to get to know our host, Cindy Roseanne. So Cindy's kindly taking what she likes to think of as a hot seat, as I do consider myself Cindy's friend. I'm asking strong questions, but ones that we hope really help everybody understand why she is in a position to help guide us through something like Cut Deep, where we can all learn and progress, we hope. Hi, Cindy. Hi. So this evening, as a part of our part 2 and continuation, we talked a lot last week about where you've come from, how you were raised up. There's some really beautiful highlights. If anyone missed that, I hope they'll go back. We've talked about things going on in your personal life, things that are a part of your composition, your moral compass, what guides you, why you do what you do, why you're sometimes tired and frustrated, why at other times you're hopeful and enthusiastic. And so what I want to start with, because we're on Cut Deep, is if you could see, let's see, that's not really the way to put it. What changes would you want to see in our society in order to make you think that Cut Deep was no longer needed? We're not starting with the basics tonight. That was last week.
Yeah, this is definitely not the basics. I could be really blunt and say that I would like to see a change in our House of Assembly. You know, that would be coming from the top. I would say a change in our House of Assembly. I think that
Stop for a second. You mean in like the structure, like how it's structured?
The people sitting there.
Okay.
To begin with. I will say that straight out the bat.
Okay.
Was that too deep?
No, I always thought Cut Deep would go longer even than that, but that's fine. Okay,
yeah.
Here we go.
No. I'm going to start there. I would like to see a change in the members that are there. I think that we continue to err.
Okay.
In the people that we elect. And to go a little deeper, I would want to see a change in all the systems that we have set up, because it's not working for us. And as much as we continue to elect people and what they say, what I realize is that the people that we elect, because of their moral compass, I'm realizing that we have a huge issue in terms of our morals in the BVI. But because of who they are, they promise to go in, make some shifts in the system, change the system, but they don't. I find that they use the system to their advantage for them and not for the people. So for me to walk away from Cut Deep, I need to see some changes at the top, some changes in our system, some changes in the mindset of our people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any moments where you feel like you're actually a bit too hard on elected leaders?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No. The thing with me, Sarah, I apologize. If I think that I said something or I was wrong about something, I go back, and the same medium in which I say it, I take it back.
Okay.
So, no, I don't think so. The seat that they sit in, it determines me and your life. They make decisions that affect our life.
Right.
So we have to be able to hold them strongly and very accountable. The seat that they sit in is in a seat of power that can destroy anybody or anything. So no, when I'm coming for them, I'm coming hard.
Okay. And you see it, I mean, this is me just interpreting words, is it's a duty? Like, do you see that as a...
Yeah, I do. And I think that for you as well, and for every citizen and resident of the BVI that's occupying this space should see it as a duty.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm going to say, like, I know that people are scared and they have all these responsibilities. I do too. But what I've realized is whether you're quiet or you make noise, you're going to be affected.
Right.
So I prefer to make some noise and to the effect of easing the blow.
Okay.
You know, so if you want to hit me a big rock, And if I make noise, you're gonna just hit me a pebble. Okay, I think that's better.
Okay.
You made some kind of
impact.
Yeah.
All right. And if you go beyond elected leadership and you look at our institutions that you refer to that we really need to fix, define that. What do you feel like we need to fix?
Well, there is. I don't want to say there is so much wrong and then not point in on those things, but I do feel like we have a lot of work to do with our systems, how loose they are internally. Do they work for us as a people? All of the little, well, I wouldn't say little, but the flaws in the system that allow us to bring out the worst parts of us, like corruption.
Okay.
Right? There are so many flaws inside of our system that can easily be used for that. We have our school system where I think all we do right now is give our children education that they can regurgitate. This is black, I said this is black, you're right, I said this is black, and they get a tick, as opposed to raising them, grooming them, nurturing them. Our children spend a lot of time in school and with teachers, and so that is very important to me as well, in terms of our foundation and the young citizens that we put out in the example that we show to them.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it repeats the cycle if we can't get a grip of all of that.
Yeah. I have seen you at times be very good at highlighting things that are not negative, you know, shining light on things that are positive.
Well, people miss those.
And I want to challenge you right now, because it's often clear, I think, in your action, even in this, even you talking about like the relevance of Cut Deep. Take this elected administration even right now. If you were trying to highlight things that have changed for the better or have progressed, just give us one. What's something that you've seen change for the better or progress in a direction that, you know, is hopeful? Because you are a balanced person, Cindy, at your core. Some of us have to help you find that balance at times, but I think you're a balanced person.
I'm smiling, but this makes me sad. Because I can't.
Dig deeper, Cindy Roseanne.
Maybe I'm thinking too big.
You are.
And I'm not seeing the little things because they're being overshadowed. But my judgment is clouded by the pain of my people, if I can say that to you.
Okay.
People are having a really hard time right now.
And we're here to get to know you more, so that's fine.
People are losing everything. They're losing their homes. They're losing their businesses. They can barely feed their children. They're stressed. And I'm really trying to think on a positive that I feel the VIP has brought forward for us.
Well, don't feel like you need to focus on a specific party. That's not where I'm asking you to go.
Okay, so
Let's
is this
look at
what?
The government. We have many people elected to our House of Assembly right now.
Okay, so this is just in totality?
Totality.
Like over the years?
Yeah, the last, yeah.
If I had to pull one thing out, I would pull out our resilience.
Okay.
And I always say it's a double-edged sword, but I'll pull out our resiliency. Because I moved home in 2014, so I've been away for a really long time.
Yeah.
But I moved home in 2014, so I've been able to go through the hurricane. I'm going through COVID with us. So I would highlight our resiliency as a really positive thing that I see in our people, in their strength to continue despite anything.
And that our government has had a hand in terms of decision making that has contributed to the resiliency. Is that why you highlight that one? You didn't want this to be easy. So.
No, I'm thinking that, yeah, I was highlighting what people are positive about the BVI. I think I moved back home at a time when our government structure has been fully falling apart.
Okay.
I don't feel a lot of BVI pride.
Okay.
At the moment, if I can say that.
I don't know, can you say that? If that's what you feel. That's
yeah.
Fine. Okay. I think that I'd love to transition us a little bit to talking about things most of us that know you or that follow this platform understand to be the case, which is last week, if everyone was with us, you talked about women and how they approach problems versus how men usually typically approach problems. We talk about, you know, balance, but who do you find particularly inspiring? And it doesn't have to be, you know, here in the territory, but when you look to leaders, not necessarily political, but leaders, who inspires you?
Can I say that any strong woman willing to have a voice, and it doesn't have to be out here speaking the way I speak, but yeah, I look a lot to women leaders.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem with men as leaders. I find more inspiration in women. Okay. But in inspiration, I also look for action.
Okay.
Okay, so you can say a lot of things, and I'm gonna say something now that, you know, might upset a lot of people, like Barack Obama and his change campaign, and what was it? Oh, I can't remember. We can.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
I think that was very inspirational,
okay.
But I didn't see a lot of action towards change in his administration, if I might say that. Okay. So, yes, I'm here for the inspirational talk and all of that strength, but I also want to see the action that comes forward with that. I love the president. Is it Sweden, the lady? You know who I'm talking about?
There's quite a few.
She's the president. Oh, is it Australia? Okay, I'm going to look that up when we're on a break.
Okay.
Her name is going away from me now, but I always say that I like to look at home. There are a lot of people who can inspire us across the world, but I like to look at home. And there are quite a few women here that inspire me that I look at all the time. I watch them in their spaces, whether they're loud or they're soft. I can call some, like I can call Lorna's name. And Lorna and I, if anybody knows our relationship, and she knows our relationship, we don't see eye to eye all the time at all. But I appreciate that we can still always have that relationship. So I think that as a woman, she's done a lot for the BVI. I also, like, I can call names that people actually don't even know.
Okay.
You being one of them. And especially, like, there's this energy that I get from you all the time. Right, that is so positive. And then I love your drive for the green spaces. That is so important to us. And your drive on civic responsibility. Like, I admire that more than you know. There are so many women that work in this space that I think are amazing, phenomenal women that I would like to see step up and do a lot more for the BVI. Yeah, in a bigger capacity.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something to work toward.
Yeah. Well, I'm constantly chipping away at it.
I know. And I mean, that is kudos to you. I think most people can see you doing the work, doing the work. Is there any guidance you would give? Let's say, you know, women that want to be more active, get more involved. Is there like 3 tips on what to do if you want to start to be more active in let's call civic dialogue or civic action?
Yeah. I don't know if I can do a 1, 2, 3 punch. I can say, well, that I think we still live in a society, or we grew up in a society where a woman had her place. Okay. And I think it still rings true. And it affects mostly, I think, like my generation go up. And some of those women are the women that I would like to see come forward, but I think that that space still affects them in that mindset and that thought of how they'd be received. They're hard on themselves. So if I had to give a 1, 2, 3, I would say just do it.
Just do it.
I can say that I'm one of those persons that I was very shy. I'm telling you, Sarah, you would not know what to do with me at that time and this person. You would just be like, that's a very huge change. But well, I jumped off. So I just did it.
Okay.
I just did it. And I think most of our women know who they are.
Yeah.
Meaning they know themselves. I just think they fight with finding courage. Courage. To actually do it. They say all the right things. They do all the right things. But they're really afraid of the public space because our public space is quite a difficult space. Yeah. So I just say, just do it. I mean, you can't lose. Fine. What can you lose?
You can just do it. All right. And that's where courage comes from. Well, with that, we are going to take our first break and stay with us because when we come back, we're going to focus a little on transformation.
Live stream cable TV is here with CCT Live. Access over 80 channels that you can watch either at home or when you're on the go. And don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Rewind and watch in your own time. Come to CCT today and ask about our 1-month free trial offer. CCT Live. Bring it home.
At Blossoms, our floral experts use their creative flair to design beautiful and exotic bouquets. We are the on-island wedding experts, and for boating enthusiasts, we can help you to add a touch of floral elegance, life, and color to your yacht, mega yacht, both locally and internationally. We've even worked with celebrities. At Blossoms, we continue to deliver smiles and watch our customers bloom.
Hi and welcome back. Here we are on Cut Deep with our part 2 of getting to know our host, Cindy Roseanne. I'm your guest host, Sarah Penny, and I'm excited to keep the conversation with Cindy going. So Cindy, we talked a little bit last week and then just now in our first section about transformation. You talked about the very shy person you were earlier in your life and the courage that you found in particular when your first child was born to start to speak up. For a better, not to put words in your mouth, but because you want the world to be a better place for him. And what I'm curious about is who did you have, by your side? You have a lot of very close friends, and I'm keen to know who you're drawn to that's helped support you on your own journey of transformation.
Right. When I had my first son, I was in I was in the Cayman Islands, so I wasn't around the people that I grew up with or the network and bonds and comfort of my small society, because you know how society is, the small spaces, everybody, you can call on somebody. I was alone, so I kind of feel like for the first few years of my life, my motherhood, it was kind of me and Hugh Anthony alone and my husband. I was prior to having Hugh Anthony, a very social butterfly, as I am now again. But once I had him, I kind of turned into full mommy mode.
Okay.
I stayed home. I nurtured him. I spent a lot of time with him. We went to the park, to the beach. Like, we did a lot of that stuff. I'd say that as I got more comfortable and decided in kind of some areas that I want to touch on, because wherever I am, I'm always trying to make an impact in certain areas. Even if I'm doing business, it's always, I don't do local business, although the product is local. I do international business. So when I do brands and I think about brands and I do service or anything, it has to have an international reach. So I took some time and decided, you know, what could impact the Cayman market at the time and space that I was there. And that was fashion, because Cayman is it's a luxurious market, and part of luxury is designer, high-end events. So I developed Cayman Islands Fashion Week, which was a very big project. It was really good. It had its good sides and the bad sides, which came with debt. Any big event that you do could take on that. But you can speak to anybody in Cayman, and they will tell you that transformed that market in terms of fashion, and you had a lot of jobs emerge out of that, or careers like styling and even designers out of Cayman, models, you know, stylists, hosts, all those things, whatever come with that. People became more fashion forward and trendy because I was bringing designers from as far as the UK, London. We had one designer that came from, I can't bring the name right now, but in Europe, New York. It was really an amazing thing. You would think that you were sitting at New York Fashion Week. The ticket prices were really high, and that's another thing about a luxury market. So when we refer to a luxury market and that the BVI is a luxury market, I say no, it's not. Because one of the things that determine that as well is ticket price point and who's going where, dependent on who's there and the cost of a ticket, and you know, all those things. I also, in working with one of the companies that I did there, Tower Marketing, I got involved in art. So like I say, when I take on a project, I dive into it, I figure out what it is, and it kind of becomes me so that I can sell it better. So I'm gonna tell you now that in working with Tower Marketing, one of the projects that we took on was building a national gallery for the Cayman Islands, and that was a private-public partnership, and it works very well. And I think quite often about that, and maybe doing that here with the cultural center here. But whichever administration is open to me sitting with them, I can do that. And we were able to develop that, raise money, and so forth. And so, yeah, so in that, I met quite a few strong women there. I made relationships with the government because, again, in a small society, I always feel like you have to know the most important players to move ahead. So I built those relationships, but I would say that a lot of my relationships in the Cayman Islands were kind of superficial. And you can get that in that type of society. And then there are those that I still hold really close and dear to me. In moving home, I think I was embraced. That's embraced. Cool. And then when I got vocal, I know some of those relationships kind of thinned out. We still talk or whatever. They thinned out. And I don't mind. People are always going to protect their spaces, and I don't have a problem with that. But I think I have a good network of friends around me, that genuine friends that I can call on, sit with, go have tea, go have lunch, have drinks, have deep conversations. I get to cry it out. Yeah.
Okay. So friendship
I
is
don't know.
important.
I don't know if I answered the question,
I
but
think so. I think so.
I
think
went
we
all
got
over
a
the
lot.
place.
No, I
Yes.
think we got to know more about you just from that. It's nice to know
Yeah.
about Fashion Week in Cayman
Yes.
and more of what Cayman did for you and how that built who you are now, which is nice to hear about. In terms of if we talk about the next decade that you have ahead of you, if you were to stay on this path where you're very vocal, community, active, quite obviously interested in building things, not sometimes I think seen as tearing something down, but fundamentally it's because you're trying to build.
Right.
Where do you think you're of greatest service?
It's a very big and loaded question. My first half of life, like coming out of high school, probably up to 30 before I had my son, it was very fun. Like, I was into fun. I was into going out, partying. I did a lot of that. I wouldn't say irresponsibly, but I did a lot of that. I tried to enjoy my life. I think that is enjoying a life is a big part of me. And so quite often I am torn between where I need to be, or where I must, what I must do, and what I want to do and be, if you understand what I'm saying. I keep saying that there is this in me that I don't know how to describe it. I don't know where it came from. I just know that it wasn't who I was. I'm a totally different person to who I was in terms of, yes, I was always interested in politics and knowing what's going on and how it affects me, but I never really got integral in being a voice. And actually fighting to see a change and creating enemies, right? You're gonna create enemies. Sometimes I lie down and I'm like, oh, Cindy, but so if I tell you that I'm still struggling as to where I must be, what I must do, and what I want to do. I have a lot of goals. I have a lot of personal goals. And I have been sidelining them for this. And then I have my children who will benefit from my personal goals and also benefit from what I must do. So I have a lot of decisions to make. I know I don't have a lot of time to make those decisions. They all very heavy. They all affect everybody around me. And I think that's the biggest burden. Sometimes I'm wary as to how is what I'm doing going to affect every single person that is close to me.
Right. And that's reasonable. And it's good to ask those questions. I mean, just to reinforce, I don't think that's a negative.
Yeah.
That's also often part of what we need more of.
Yeah.
We need that triage.
Yeah.
Do you have any, even if you, I know last year you've spoken about 2021 being a really difficult year for you. So take that one off the table. But before that, do you have any regrets that have shaped the way you live your life and the goals you've set now? Because you've talked about having transformative goals for this year.
Yeah.
Are there any regrets that inform those goals?
I don't know how honest I can be with this one.
You can. You're just going to give us one. Just give us something that is...
It is... I mean, it doesn't matter what I say. Whatever I say, the media is going to pull apart and they're going to take it, they're going to run with it, they're going to make it whatever they want it to be. But unfortunately, if I say that I had a regret, I think it would be marriage.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't regret my children, but yeah.
Okay.
I think that there are a lot of things that I could have done and accomplished, and I wasn't able to do that. And I think I was trapped in a space for a very long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That's my biggest regret.
That's a regret.
If I had to speak about another regret, it would be like living away from my mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've done what you could to try to come back and be. It's very difficult. It's not easy.
Yes.
So yeah, very difficult. And then, talk to me about how when you look at other women in similar positions, perhaps they are, struggling with decisions about
their personal life.
Let's see, about their personal life. Do you want to give counsel? Are there?
No, I don't ever want to give counsel. I just talk about my experience and what that meant for me.
Right.
And sometimes all you can do is listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do understand the situation that they're in, but it's more difficult for them to make a move than sometimes we realize.
Right.
Yeah, because that was the case for me as well. Like, I knew I was stuck in limbo, but what moving away from the situation, what other situations would that create for me, and weighing the negatives and the positives, and I just try to say to people to find yourself. I think once you find yourself, decisions are a lot easier. You find strength in finding yourself, like who you are as a person, who you want to be, what you want to be for your children, what kind of should I say servant? I like to use the word servant. We were all born to serve in some manner or the other. Being a good citizen, like those things, like if you figure out who you are, then a lot of decisions come a little easier. Yeah.
And so, I mean, with that, one, decision that might be, I think it's something you've shared that others ask of you, is that right now you serve in a very specific space. You demand a lot of accountability. You are an agitator at times. You are someone that does raise issues that are at times uncomfortable, and that's of significant value. And then other people say, well, if you have all these opinions, Cindy, about what elected officials should or should not do, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and run for office yourself? And that's not my question, though.
Okay.
My question is, if that were to come to pass, if that was a decision you made next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever made sense there, what do you feel like you as Cindy Roseanne have to offer in an elected position of leadership?
I would say the same that I offer out here.
Okay.
Moral accountability. And the thing is that for me, it's not about politics, but about doing the right thing. So if I'm encouraging you to do the right thing, or if I want to make changes on the inside, and those changes are going to affect you negatively, you personally, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do the change anyway, whether you're going to take your vote away from me or not. And I think that's one of the things that is keeping us back. Everybody thinks about the next vote. When when it's elections, I need to get back in. But what are you getting back in for? Because you aren't making any changes. You aren't changing our institutions. You're just using it to benefit you. So what is the point? So for me, it will be more of who I am out here going on the inside.
Okay.
And rooting up what needs to be rooted up.
And what then is lost, Phil? So if you take a voice like yours, or like anyone, because you're not the only one in our community that does take the time to speak truth and, ask questions.
So I'll tell you, Sarah, that this is a question I get all the time, like, are you going to run? Will you run? can you run? Here's all the reasons I think you should run, because there isn't a conversation that comes into my phone about this that I'm able to get off the phone without somebody saying, I'll convince you, and trying to tell me all the reasons that I should. I have one or two people and myself who sit on the other side and say, but we need agitators. We need activists. You get the rebuttal, oh, but we need the change inside. And I think you can bring some of the change inside. So I'll tell you straight up that the conversation, that decision for me was off the table as to whether I would run or not. I made the decision not to run. And in the past month, it's unfortunately back on the table. A decision that I'm again struggling to make. In terms of if I did stand for office, it's a double-edged sword. I think that who I am could make some changes on the inside. I feel like if I'm on the inside, who's gonna be out here, right? But if you think about it, I can die tomorrow, or I can drop dead right now in front of you. Who carries on? So I think my civic duty is to raise a nation of activists and agitators and people who are not going to be afraid to stand up. Can I do it from out here? I don't know. I try my best. Can I do it from the inside? If I had the right team, I think so, because one of the biggest problems for the BVI is that victimization and that whole structure that stands on that actually needs to come down. And who's willing to take it down? That's the big question.
Yeah, they're all big questions, I would say, Cindy. I'm trying to see, give me just a moment. I think that one thing I know in terms of accomplishments that you've had, I'd be keen to know from you in the past few years, you know, what's brought you the greatest sense of satisfaction, or, you know, what are the things that you're the most proud of? I mean, in terms, I think what I'm getting to
in terms of my activism?
Like, yeah, I mean, I would use even like establishing Cut Deep. That's like an example, I assume, of something that you're proud of.
Yeah, I am. I'm proud of my entire platform. Like I say, sometimes I say things in a way that, I mean, our society is very reserved anyway. So certain things I say, it's going to agitate them. Sometimes I care, sometimes I don't care, because I know they're being disingenuous. So it rolls off my back like water. But I set out to highlight where we are as a territory, the things that we need to change. And I know sometimes we don't want to hear the things that are bad about us, but you can't change a problem without first seeing that you have a problem. So you can address the problem. Yeah. So I think I'm doing that, whether people like the way that I do it or not. I know that they hear what I'm saying. They see the problems. I mean, you see the problems unfolding in the COI. I've talked about them since 2014 when I came home. I talked about those things within our systems that are just not working, and how our laws don't work and we don't uphold them, and so forth, and we're a lawless society, and things that pass through the cracks that shouldn't even pass through the cracks, and or respect for our institution, even in the House of Assembly, and coming to the House on time, doing your research for the people instead of standing up and having just talking, nothing, right? You have a bill in front of you, you haven't reviewed it, so you can't talk to it, so you talk shit, really. You know, so those types of accountabilities that we need in place just to transition to another level or a better level. Okay. I think we're here messing around in the mud, and
So you're feeling to try to bring that, drill down to that in terms of things you feel proud of, or you feel like you've achieved. That's one thing.
Yeah, I think that people are awake, they're alert, they're asking more questions, they're more involved, they want to know. Okay. And I'm proud of work that my platform is doing.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, I'm going to pick up a little bit on your referring to the COI, and we're going to talk a little bit about issues and your personal position. So stay with us, everybody, and we'll be back right after this break.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. We're back with our part 2 of getting to know our host, Cindy Roseanne. I'm your guest host, Sarah Penny. So Cindy, when we were speaking just now, we were talking a little bit about where you see the platform that you've built being able to move conversations along. So now we're just going to get down to you personally and what your take is on a few of the things that are big in conversation. So we're going to start big. So the Commission of Inquiry, if you were the decider, what would you see happen at the culmination of the COI? Not what you think is going to happen, but what
would I like to see?
What would you like to see? Yeah.
I think that, I mean, again, I can say it, I think that there are a lot of things wrong in our society, in our systems, that there are some shifts that need to be made, especially if you're not morally accountable, you can make some real damage inside with our systems, right? Nobody is perfect. And I know that there'll never ever be a perfect BVI and we'll just be all good and no corruption. You'll always have that, right? But the level at which we have it, in our inability to govern ourselves, is problematic for me. I would like to see, coming out of the COI, that whether it's a special committee of us, or, unfortunately, if the UK thinks we're not in a position to do it ourselves, a committee of us put to actually change some of the structures that we have in place or reinforce our structures.
So for someone that's maybe a lay person, though, you know, be specific with us. Like if you were on that committee, for example, what would you target? What would be the first thing to target? I would target how easy it is for us to, I want to say corrupt, right? In the decisions we make. And so the different agencies within government, for example, if we take, say, the stimulus packages and all that was going on with that during COVID. And I understand that people need help. We all need help. How do we get that help, right? I feel that there are already established agencies within government that can move that agenda forward. For example, I always felt that monies shouldn't be given out from whether the Premier's office or any of the at-large reps. I'm not saying to take away their budget. I'm talking about special monies when it comes to like COVID recovery and giving people money. I feel like that should happen through social development. And the reason I feel that way is because it takes the politics from around it. Because when you give me something, you're giving it to me to say that, oh, I remember when I helped you, so if I call you for a vote, that should never happen. So we need to remove those elements. Those elements breed corruption is where I'm going to with this. We need to let the agencies work and function as they should without political interference. Our leaders need to respect our due process. I'm going to call it due process. Again, whether it's the House of Assembly,
their ministries, the departments, all the political interference and, overstepping the heads and doing special things for friends or allies and so forth. Those things I would look at tightening up our protocols in terms of those areas, yeah.
Okay. Are there any specific pieces of legislation that have been opportunities in the past 4 years? Let's even just look at this, 2019 until now, so 3 years, that you have been happy to see move forward, or that also, yeah?
There was, let me trigger my mind. There were 2 legislations that I made, that I went and I set in the public meetings that the government was having. One was the construction legislation, contractors legislation. The other one, it's very important, but it's going out of my head right now.
Okay.
What were those 2 legislations?
Oh, we've had a lot of them, Cindy. I'm not sure if I even know how to guide you through this one.
Wait, hold on.
There has been a lot that has come to
there was the
House
contractors legislation, and there was
the integrity, the public office integrity.
No, the one where you can report.
Whistleblowers.
The whistleblowers legislation.
Okay.
I didn't so much have a problem with the contractors legislation. The whistleblowers legislation, I found a lot of holes in it. I haven't seen the new version that was passed. I made some recommendations in that meeting. I was happy to see it come forward, but for me, it was another piece of legislation that wouldn't have any teeth, and it was done deliberately like that. When you're doing legislations like the whistleblowers legislation, there needs to be, you need a foundation to go with it, and the offices set up, and they need to be independent of government, and this legislation wasn't set up to be independent of government, so I don't see that it could work. Although I was glad to see it come forward, but I think it was just a facade. One piece of legislation that I talk about all the time that I would love to see come forward is the freedom of information. I see that it was talked about again last week or the week before. That is a piece of legislation that I would love to see come into the House. I would love to see it structured so that it can actually work. Yeah, those, yeah. Okay. I think this government has brought forward a lot of legislations. I say all the time that I think the BVI has more laws on the books than any place in the world, but there's no...
Yeah, I mean, if you want to depart a little bit from legislation, when we think even just regionally, you're welcome to go internationally. What are... Say, again, I like to go with this number 3, but by all means, you take it where you are, that we actually are a model that other Caribbean nations should look to, or that internationally are, what are we doing well?
What are we
doing
well?
This isn't government, this is just us, our fabric, our culture, our people, our structure. Like, what do you see that we are doing well? Because not everything is broken.
No.
So what isn't broken?
I feel horrible.
Well, find a space. We want to see the balance. We want to see who you are, Cindy, when you think about, balance.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing well right now.
Okay.
I want to say right now, because I really don't know what we're doing well. We're failing in education.
All right, well then I will take you.
Our people are unhappy. Yeah. For me, those would be the triggers to say whether we're doing. Block and mortar, for me, is not doing well. If you understand what I'm saying.
So then take us back. What are things you feel that we have done well in the past? No decade It can be from when you were in class 1.
Yeah. I'm going to try to do this without... I feel like the NDP 20 plus years back had a great plan for the BVI. I really feel that way. I think a lot of the things that they wanted to bring forward were important to the growth of the BVI. I will say publicly that I think they lost their way. They lost their way. And so now we're back here where it's a fight for which party benefits more, as opposed to the people. If I go back to, I think just before the 2000s, I think the BVI was a better, happier place. I don't know if you agree with me. You've been living here for a while.
Since forever.
We didn't have the levels of crime.
Some would say that's the case most places in the world, though. So
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I can think, if I think just about St. Thomas, St. Thomas has a bit more murders now, but I've always grown up hearing how bad it is to go to St. Thomas and the shooting, especially during carnivals and stuff like that. You didn't really have that in the BVI.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just mean in terms of the development of crime.
Well, in a small society, I like to say that you can control things a lot more. In the issues that we have as a small society that leads to crime, really shouldn't be.
Right, we could,
really shouldn't be. And when you think about our annual budget and the monies that flow through the BVI and, you know, all the access we have to, I would say anything. I think we have access to anything.
Right.
The type of crime we have, it really shouldn't happen in the direction of our young people. The way they see the world as just very material. Those are, to me,
I don't want to drive
things.
you too far, so we are going to take a break at this moment in time. So again, stick with us, and we're going to come back, moving away from transformation and a little bit into the here and now.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of it then. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, Sonny.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Hi everybody, we're back. I think we're getting near to the close of our opportunity to get to know Cindy a bit more. I wish I could have everybody's voice in my ear at this point in time. I want to talk a little bit about social fabric, which comes up a lot when we talk about what when you talk about what you're passionate about. In particular, where you see there being a strength in having more women in leadership is really addressing challenges with social fabric as opposed to more infrastructure and infrastructure. I think we'll go with that. And so I'm keen to know what what are the key, and again, I'm pushing you, but get specific with me. What are the main challenges we have in our social fabric that we need to address with the greatest urgency? From your perspective?
Yeah. I want to say not the right way. That's not the word I want to use, but families.
Families, okay.
Yeah. Or families, the dynamic of our families and how they sustain themselves, or their ability to sustain themselves, and the effect that that has on the territory overall.
Overall.
Yeah. By that I mean the single parent dynamic doesn't mean that the two-parent dynamic is any better. It depends on what's going on in there with the parents, but the ability to feed children, cost of living, how they're functioning. We can look at under COVID now where, you know, the children had to be out of school. How are the parents faring? The lockdowns, what went on with that in terms of domestic violence. Domestic violence, I think, is another big issue in our territory that we don't pay attention to. As we talk about the family dynamics, substance abuse, and all of these things, and mental health, and these are some of the things that that kind of trigger me. Mental health from the perspective of why are we even having the mental issues that we have? Are we looking into that? And mental health is wide. You know, again, you think, just like the lady that killed herself the other day, you think all is well with people, but I've spoken many times about the number of persons that actually take medication just to function in the BVI. Those are not good indicators of a successful society. Right.
Okay. Great key pieces. Yeah. And then is there anyone that you would highlight, not necessarily in a leadership position, but maybe it's social programs that you know that are going on right now that you are proud of or see value in, work that's happening on the ground that isn't government?
Yeah. Boy. I know there is FSN. I know that there are some, there is YEP. FSN from the perspective of the assistant feeding families. I think they assist in terms of women issues, whether it be abuse and so forth. There's YEP that I think is a great organization that helps with just grooming or assisting parents with their children. I don't think a lot of people understand the YEP program and how beneficial it is, but to me, YEP is like another parent. Mr. Mesa and his team are amazing. There is the male group, which I think is another really good group that deals with our boys. I'm not certain what age they go up to, but I see them as very effective as well. There are some other organizations that I know that are just coming to the forefront as well. I think the police have started a girls group. And I think that's a great initiative. Those are the ones that I can think of right now. Yeah.
It's wonderful to have you. I mean, it's just great. I think we all have to really reflect and acknowledge other work that's going on, or else we get, you know, stuck in our lane.
What I think is that there are a lot of organizations out there that are trying their best to help. I don't think that government sees it as a priority. And I think those are foundational things. Like you can do all you want unless you have the right foundation. Nothing you build will work. So that's why I said for me, brick and mortar, that means nothing to me. Like what foundation do we have that we can build this great lifestyle, but can you live in it peacefully? Right.
Well, let's finish with that because we don't actually have very much time left together. But what does matter to you?
I would love to see a BVI where I can.
Where you can.
I can wake up in happiness. Okay. And when I say that, I think that I speak for a lot of people. If you talk to people, Sarah, if you just look at the environment that we're in, there's a lot of unhappiness in the BVI. People are not happy, even those that have all the money. So I think we need to think about what it takes to build a happier space, a happier people.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think, Cindy, we're all grateful for your honesty and your openness. And with the conclusion of part 2 of getting to know our host, you've done a great job. And thank you to everyone for being with us. And good night.